join us next time where Steven and I will be giving our first impressions of The Amazing Spider-Man. Hi everyone, welcome to the current installment, you're welcome Steven, of Geeks After College with our segment First Impressions. To those of you who are not in the know, First Impressions is where we go see a movie and then we set up the camera and talk about the film right after we've seen it.
It's pretty much like bait for anybody who has seen the movie and has thought about their feelings for the movie.
Yeah.
And then they can criticize us.
Exactly.
That's what we like to do.
We like to do that. We like criticizing things because, I don't know.
We like providing people opportunities to criticize us.
Yeah, pretty much.
Brave was genius, you dingus.
So welcome to Geeks After College. I'm Neil Butler with our very own Stephen Ingram, and our special guest stars for tonight are Will Randall. You can see him right back there. Yes.
Hi.
Wave to everyone. And the always lovely Lexi Bonton, as you can see right there. Yes. So, we just stepped out of this film, you've probably heard of it recently. It's called The Amazing Spider-Man.
How did you get out there?
Fire escape.
It's 20 stories.
Your doorman's intimidating.
Tell us a little bit about yourself, Mr. Parker.
Not much to tell, really.
Peter lives with his aunt and uncle.
Did you catch that spider guy yet?
No, but we will. This guy wears a mask like an outlaw.
I think he's trying to do something maybe the police can't.
Can't?
If you're gonna steal cars, don't dress like a car thief.
You a cop?
You seriously think I'm a cop in a skin-tight red and blue suit?
Who are you?
I know it's been rough for you, Peter. I forgot all about that thing. It was your dad's.
Your father was a very secretive man, Peter.
Dr. Connors, I'm Richard Parker's son.
Your father and I were going to change the lives of millions, including mine. Extraordinary. How did you come up with this? There's a rumor of a new species in New York. It can be aggressive if threatened.
One of the issues that's going to happen with this film is it's unavoidable. It's going to get compared to Sam Raimi's 2002 Spider-Man.
Or Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends,
or Spider-Man.
which was just as iconic and classic.
Clearly. Clearly, Steven.
This movie was really missing Iceman and Firestar.
So anyways, the comparison is going to happen. So
it's inevitable.
We might as well talk about it.
They do have a lot of similarities and a lot of things where they differed on it. I think when we came out of it, we were kind of feeling like we could pick and choose. Was it you?
It was me. It was me that had said it.
You kind of wish you could pick and choose certain aspects from both movies.
There are
make one awesome Spider-Man movie.
I really wish they had him when he was walking down the street and pointing at women.
Oh, shut up!
So
oh, shut your mouth. So there are, but yeah. Anyways. Are you proud of it?
Spider-Man 3, man.
Are you proud of what you did?
This is the best movie.
So, like we said, there are just aspects of each film that we wish we could pick and choose to create the best Spider-Man film. Well, I guess right off the bat we should say our opinions. What did you guys think of the film, Steven?
I think a lot of my problems that I can come up with right now aren't so much problems with the film, so to speak, but they're just kind of personal preferences. I don't care for Peter Parker being a skateboarder. I think that I don't know much about the comics per se. I don't know if he skateboards in the comics. It was hard for me to buy Andrew Garfield as like the school geek in the beginning.
But also so rad you
Like, how many like geeks do you know? Like
Yeah, he looked pretty
skateboard
fly,
and
man.
like he
Yeah.
looks.
He was no geek.
He's freaking Andrew Garfield. He's an Adonis.
Yeah.
You know, like he doesn't wear glasses. He wears contacts like right from the get-go.
Mhm.
But then he does wear them because.
And he
of-
chooses to wear the glasses to be a hipster.
No, it to remind. Well,
Maybe.
To honor his
my dad
father, I
Or his
suppose.
father.
Well, I think the most important aspect is, did you like it?
I did like it. I mean, I can't really think of too many real like flaws with it, other than just things that would be personal preference for me, really.
Okay.
I mean, maybe after some of you guys voice some opinions, I might have some come to me, and in that point, I will
Okay.
throw my opinion out there in inappropriate ways. But
Okay. Will, what did you think of the film?
I actually liked it. Now, I should probably get this out there. I had to pee after the first fourth of the film, so I was kind of jumbling between two different thoughts of movie and should I leave? No, there's too many people. However, I like this way more than the first three Spider-Man that came out because
Really?
Yes, I liked it so much more. I think the action sequences were much more like awesome. Like when he was wrapping, you know, the lizard guy up into like a cocoon, which I thought was really cool. They did some really cool first person like, you know, sequences, though it did lead to little midget arm Call of Duty first person.
Yes.
Like,
yeah, the first person things that Will is trying to explain here is like, you know, they would show Spider-Man doing things in first person, but
the arms were so
it was a bit distorted though. Like it was kind of like you
It's
get
like
the feeling like the camera was really big or something.
He has
so
like T-Rex arms.
like, okay, imagine my face is the camera. He'd be like Wesley, would be like. So, like it just seemed like.
But I guess the thing is, I guess if you kind of extend the arms out, it's gonna be like, why is his arm so long? Because I guess we're so used to, you know, first-person shooters having kind of the weird arm.
I imagine Andrew Garfield just with a giant camera like on his shoulders, and he's trying to stretch his arm out, but it's a huge camera, so it just looks really short, like
Yeah.
an Oompa Loompa.
So
let's see what else. The relationship between Gwen, you know, Spider-Man, I thought was much more. I guess just better than the one between
Mary Jane and
Mary,
Spider-Man.
God, Mary Jane.
yeah.
Yeah. I thought it was much more entertaining. There was lots of funny moments in the movie, more so than I can remember with the first three Spider-Men. Besides, you know, Peter Parker walking down the street and going, "Hey!"
Gwen Stacy feels like a better match
Yes.
for Peter
She
Parker.
does. Well,
I
she
think.
actually feels like a person.
Yeah.
Just the jokes overall were much better, and Stan Lee's cameo is probably the greatest thing about that movie. Is so perfect.
Yeah.
So perfect.
Stan Lee's in my box office draft.
Also, I will say the villain was pretty sweet.
Yeah, he looked
I thought
really
it was
good
really
for the
good.
budget they had.
Yeah, he looked really
So
good.
overall, I would say I like this way better than the first three Spider-Man, though I'm sure people will have their disagreements with that. But for me, I really enjoy this film, and I might go see it again.
Okay.
You
And
you
which
could
is a rare
clarify
occurrence.
that you're not like a huge comic book geek or anything,
I don't
right?
really get comic books, though I can follow storylines.
Yeah.
But
I don't know if that like kind of clarifies why you might like
the
this
only
more.
reasons I read comic books was for the pictures and the awesome little gaming advertisements.
Fair
When I was
enough.
a kid, so.
Like I'm not sure which ones I like. Which like if I like this more than say the first Spider-Man movie myself.
I said people will disagree.
Yeah,
with me,
yeah,
but
yeah,
I
I don't-
really, Neil, I would pay to see this again.
holy sh.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. To those
you
of
just
you.
saw a milestone, people.
To those of you who don't know, Will almost never pays for movies. The last one he paid for was David Fincher's The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo,
Fucking loved it.
which he loved.
So good.
So basically, if Will Randall says that he's going to pay money to see your film, you might as well just like slap that onto the DVD cover because that's the highest praise you're going to get.
Probably an X rating too. 'Cause that's
Probably
why
an
you
X
saw
rating.
it.
Probably an X rating. So, Will, you liked it. Now, Lexi was actually reluctant to come see this film because she's not a huge comic book person. So we thought it would be really interesting to hear what she thought about the film. So, Lexi, what did you think?
Overall, it it was a lot better than expected, although I didn't really know what to expect because I'd never seen a comic book movie before, except for, like,
The Dark Knight.
I think that was the only other comic book movie I've ever seen.
Okay. So you liked it?
But yeah, I liked it.
You were pleasantly surprised?
I was. There were, like Steven said, a few little nitpicky things I might have changed to personal preference, but
Okay.
it was good.
I seem to be the one that's like the least fond of it of us, although I know.
Sean.
Well, even I still liked it. I really did. I enjoyed it. One of my problems is it just seems to lack focus. Like, it doesn't seem to know what it wants to be.
Yeah.
Like, does it want to be an origin story? Does it want to be just another Spider-Man film? Does it want to be a chronicle of, does it want to be like a romance between Peter Parker and Gwen Stacy?
Yeah,
does
you
it
are correct on that.
like it just doesn't seem to know what it wants.
That was one thing that bothered me too.
As Red Letter Media would say, it has the syndrome of too many cooks in the kitchen, and
Or
it's
if you're a normal person, too many cooks in the kitchen.
that doesn't make sense. But the film just doesn't seem to know what it wants to be. Like, it seems to want to do all these things. It wants to cover all of these topics. It wants to cover all these storylines, but it just doesn't seem to do any of them like particularly well. Okay, that's harsh. I shouldn't say that. It does most of them fairly well. It does them satisfactorily, not enough for me to be distracted by it. Like, not enough for it to ruin my enjoyment of the film. It's not Spider-Man 3, which has more subplots than I can count on both my hands, and like does none of them correctly. This one actually has, about I could count the number of subplots on my storylines.
Spider-Man 3 had a musical number.
That's true. This one did not.
Hell yeah.
So automatically it's better. But I just got a little flustered, like...
I would like to add on to the feeling of too many in the kitchen.
Yes, exactly.
Like, for instance, just go... I don't know if this is a spoiler or not, but like, kind of like...
I think we're just going to go ahead and spoil everything,
Okay.
so...
Yeah, pretty much explained
Okay,
everything
so
that happened.
when
Yeah.
Spider-Man defeats the Lizard...
Well, I think that was going to.
That's a given.
Right,
Yeah.
okay.
It's going to happen.
All right, well, I thought he was going to die, all right? God.
I was myself.
Okay, after Spider-Man, like, defeats the Lizard, you imagine, like, what, 5 minutes left in the movie?
Oh my dear God! I had to go on the laugh.
So Will...
So bad.
You imagine, like,
it
maybe...
would not end.
Shaking and
So Will probably doesn't remember that part.
You imagine,
I
like,
remember all of it because I was like, come on.
I felt it all.
You imagine, like, 5 minutes left in the movie, but it felt like it went on for, like, another 20 minutes.
It
Yeah.
really did.
I don't know how long it really was,
Even
but it
not
felt
having
like...
to pee. It took a long time.
I would like to say though, if it did just end with like the voicemail going off though, it would just be really cliche to me. It'd be like, oh yeah, it's his uncle
Yeah.
talking and saying like quotes and shit.
Yeah.
It kind of gives like a closure to everything. Like, oh, here's what happens with Gwen Stacy. Here's what happens with this other stuff. And then I did like the little. Those are the best promises.
Oh, yeah.
That was kind of cute.
Yeah.
Don't make promises you can't keep, Mr. Parker. Those are the best kind.
That was a great line.
It was a good line. It gives you some hope. I feel like maybe I don't know, like if they wanted to make this movie not feel like it takes forever to end, they could have like had in the second movie if they were planning on doing a sequel. I don't know. It felt like they were almost kind of rushing to the beginning of the next movie.
A little
almost.
bit. A little bit.
But it does.
Like, it could.
In case it doesn't get a next movie, it is a nice ending.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
Very true.
Well, I mean...
Because I hate cliffhanger endings. Like, oh yeah, we're totally gonna make a second.
I
That's really
hate...
stupid.
Those aren't necessarily cliffhangers. I hate sequel bait endings,
Yeah,
where it's like, we are most definitely going to have a sequel,
Like
and then you
that-
don't
like-
get one.
Like a
and
villain just shows up out of nowhere.
Yeah. It's like, well, you didn't get a sequel, so you just left us hanging. Way to go f*** yourselves.
I will say a flaw that I had with the movie is that it did seem to parallel with the first Spider-Man movie a little too much.
A little
times.
too much. Like, I don't want to say it had a little too much of, like, been there, done that, because, I mean, like, we're trying to grade the film on its own, but it did seem to be, like, a little bit of a problem. There was something about it that, like, the editing was a problem. And I know that, like, I'm an editor, so I'm going to, like, talk about editing, but the editing did seem to be a problem. Like, scenes just sort of happened, like, without any build-up to it. Like, there's a fight scene in the hallway of the school, like, in the hallway of the school, where the Lizard shows up through the school bathroom, which was weird. And, like, there was a part of me that was like, there's no f***ing way this is going on. This has to be, like, a dream or something. No, it's f***ing happening. And he came through the toilet. And
the name of a B sci-fi movie from like
it came from beyond the sewer system. But it was like, there's no way this is real. There's no way this is going on. Oh, yes, it is. I was waiting for the reveal of, oh, God, it was a horrible dream. Nope, just kept going. It's like, okay, there's something wrong here.
Well, like, the point like I was making is like, what was I gonna say? Like, like Peter Parker when like the guy who robs the convenience store like throws him the chocolate milk, and it's like, you know, that's like his way of thanking him. Like, which
Here's some chug.
you know, like in like the origin that I know of, like I remember the origin from like the '90s animated series where it's like the guy runs by and Spider-Man's like a wrestler trying to make money, and you know the guy's like, stop that guy, and Spider-Man's like, whoa, like I'm not a security guard, like do your job, man.
Yeah.
But like in this and the Sam Raimi movie, they kind of made it a bit like, you know, I'm gonna spite the guy who gave me a hard time.
Me over on my money.
You know,
Yeah.
so like they did that. Another one. The lizard has an inner monologue with himself, like with
Like
the
Gollum?
dual sides of him.
It
like
felt a little-
Gollum did.
That's exactly what I was.
It felt a little bit.
Lord of the
The
Rings.
Goblin.
It felt a little bit like, leave now and never come back. A little bit. Sorry for my Gollum impression. I hate when people do it.
I was
but
thinking more of like Norman Osborn from Sam
A little bit.
Raimi's Spider-Man.
a little bit like that too. Yeah, a little
You
bit like
killed
Gollum.
them. We killed them. Which Willem Dafoe nailed that scene.
Oh, totally.
by the way.
Oh, totally.
This one, I mean, like, you know, it's a was it a CGI lizard?
Yeah, it's a
doing the
CGI
line?
lizard.
It's a
It
CGI
was
lizard.
a
doing
CGI
the
lizard
line.
doing that monologue. It was like, okay.
can't
It
get
was
all
just
the
a bunch
facial
of yelling. It wasn't like, you know, the two sides of it. It was a lot of yelling.
Yeah,
Like,
there's a
no
lot.
real facial expressions of like inner kind of turmoil between two different.
Anybody
sides.
else think that
It represents society, man.
anybody else think the lizard's face kind of looks like the Thing from the first Fantastic Four movie?
I'm glad I wasn't the only one thinking.
He's like a green thing.
Just a tiny bit. Just a tiny
Kind
bit.
of how it goes back a little bit.
Like, you know, they have that weird like Sylvester Stallone like lip thing. Like,
So,
God defeat Spider-Man.
but that also like so what were you
Oh,
saying?
and civilians helping out Spider-Man.
Yeah.
That was another kind
I
of
guess that was
repeated
nice.
thing.
Yeah.
Which happened in the first two Spider-Man.
Well, what do you
movies,
expect
if I
them to be
remember
like?
correctly.
Oh, that guy, screw him.
Yeah.
Ran my car. into
Well, I mean, like, Spider-Man's always been kind of known for, like, you know, people having mixed opinions of him because of the news and the media.
Yeah.
And J. Jonah Jameson, which felt kind of weird not having him in the
Oh my
movie.
God, absolutely.
Wait, the newspaper?
Yeah,
I
it
was
is.
just about to say,
J.K.
it felt
Simmons.
really weird not having, like,
Well, the Daily
shut
Bugle
up, Parker.
the Daily Bugle was like a TV news in the movie.
Yeah.
And
Well, no, they had a newspaper.
They had
as
a
well.
newspaper, but it was also like, you know, TV news had like the Bugle
Yeah.
like symbol on it. But like J. Jonah Jameson wasn't a character. He's kind of an important character.
I liked him in the first ones. Like, I really enjoyed
J.K. Simmons was, like,
every
the highlight
scene
of
with him
those
because it was just so
Well,
snarky.
Well, yeah. Like if you see
pretentious.
Spider-Man 3 for one thing, besides the dance number, watch it for J.K. Simmons as J. Jonah Jameson. He's absolutely the best thing
but
about it.
also for the dance number.
But also for the dance number. We just cannot stress that enough.
It does feel like if you're like a hardcore J. Jonah Jameson fan,
You will be
avoid
disappointed.
The Amazing Spider-Man
Yeah.
like the plague.
But if you actually have priorities that don't involve seeing everything J.K. Simmons is in, then yeah, go see Amazing Spider-Man. You'll be fine.
it does feel a little weird knowing he
it's
wasn't
absolutely
in the movie,
weird. It's
but-
absolutely weird.
I mean, given he wasn't in the movie, I didn't feel like him being there would have added too much. You
No.
know? It is still a Peter Parker that's in high school, so he
Yeah.
doesn't have a job at the Bugle yet.
No.
His one opportunity at getting a picture of the lizard
was because he
crushed.
saw the
Yeah.
and because it was like I thought this was kind of a cop out, like, oh yeah, we would like to get a picture of, you know, the big old lizard man. He's like, okay, I'm gonna set up a camera here and try and get him. It was like that's it. You didn't
Yeah.
have to have that.
No.
But I guess he wouldn't have figured out, you know, it was Peter Parker without that.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was very necessary.
Well, you know, Spider-Man always has the urge to take off his mask and try to, you know, appeal to the villain's humanity.
Yeah, of course.
In the end.
Which
So-
did he even do that in this one?
His mask was off during the final confrontation.
Okay, yeah.
It came off after.
Because
Curtis Connors even went into Peter Parker's psychological issues, like no father, no
Yeah, that was
mother,
pretty dark.
no uncle. You're all alone. I'm such a bitch.
Yeah.
I will say I didn't really care for that moment.
I didn't either. It felt a little too much like stereotypical, I'm going to monologue before you eventually defeat me.
Before we
You sly dog, you had me monologue.
That's exactly right.
We will have a
That's exactly right.
discussion about your loneliness.
So, yeah, the film definitely suffers, okay, not definitely, but it suffers from a little bit of, been there, done that, which, like, if we weren't comparing it to the first one, then that wouldn't really be an issue. But then again, if you don't compare it to the first one, a lot of this just feels very weightless. Like it just doesn't seem to have any consequence. Like, a lot of the stuff that happens is just like, okay, well, that happens. That doesn't really make an effect on me. Like, a lot of the stuff in the first act, I had kind of a problem with the first act. It's the complete opposite of Brave. Everything else, I got more and more into it as the film went along, but the first act was the one that I had issues with. It was where it felt like the most spotty. And once again, I think this might be a problem with the editing, because, like I said, so many things just seem to happen. Like, nothing is given the time to breathe. No scenes are given the time to develop feelings or, like, really lets things sink in with you. They just kind of happen, and then it's just like, okay, well, on to the next thing. Like, I can't help but look at a lot of this, and it's like, wow, there are so many little character moments or just little, like, reactions that would have been absolute gold if they had just wait to cut on that a little bit, or, just something like that. Which brings me to, once again, troubled past, like troubled production. Amazing Spider-Man has definitely had a bit of that. It wasn't just the same. It wasn't just with Brave. Spider-Man had it as well. There was a issue going on with Sony Pictures finally seeing, like, the fine cut of the film and hating it. So a lot of it felt like studio interference, like the same thing that happened with what I understood about the Green Lantern film with Ryan Reynolds, which is the studio was so frustrated with it that they just sent in another editor. And that feels a lot of like what happened with this film. It's just like, oh, well, this isn't turning out to what we would like, so bring in another editor. So a lot of scenes feel like they're out of place, or like they are out of order, or like they should be going on longer than they are. Okay, we just got to get things going, keep going. And it's like, just let it breathe, for Christ's sake.
I guess they were just trying to cram in a lot of stuff so it didn't run on too long or something.
Yeah, and I guess I could see that. But even then, I feel like the film suffers as a result of that. Maybe there will be a director's cut, but something tells me there might not be. And I hope there is. Because there are so many things that just felt like it was cut. Like, there should be a scene here. I don't know.
There needs to be more involvement with this.
Yeah.
We didn't see Spider-Man get his backpack at Target.
I know. I felt like such a okay, so I feel like I should explain. Before the film showed, they kept showing this ad for Target, where this little kid meets up with Spider-Man.
Well, no. First, the little kid, is playing in the playground or something, and he's like, I'm Spider-Man now, and he's like swinging through the city in his little Spider-Man costume, and then he goes onto a building, and then Spider-Man comes right next to him. He goes like, where'd you get the costume? Target? Where'd you get the backpack? Target. And they just go their separate ways in a big old Target sign and spider webs in the background.
So
Spider-Man's not at all concerned.
No, not at all.
Like,
where'd you come from? What are you doing?
Where are your parents? There's this one scene in the film where Spider-Man.
My aunt and uncle, Spider-Man.
So there's this one scene in the film where Spider-Man is atop a building and he's got his backpack on, and I was leaning over to everyone saying, "Hey, you got that bag at Target." So I turned into what I hate. I felt so bad. What were we talking about? I get so lost.
You talked about the problem with the editing.
Okay, editing. Yeah, there are just a lot of scenes in the film, or there are just a lot of aspects of the film that feel like there's a scene missing here. There's something that was cut that would make this really, they would make it more tangible, they would make it better, they'd make it more understandable. And that it's an unmistakable feeling. I can't shake it throughout watching the entire thing. So maybe there will be a director's cut, or at least just an extended cut that'll get some stuff cleared up, and I would absolutely love that. Another problem that I had, like I said, is that it just can't seem to focus on what it wants to be. Like, one of the things that excited me at the prospect of it was, through the marketing, was Spider-Man's origin.
We've seen that.
Well, it looked like it was going to be like the police after Spider-Man. which would have been very exciting for me. Like, you know, like rather than just have, like, I knew the lizard was going to be in there, but I almost think you didn't even need to have the lizard in there. Like, it would just be fascinating watching Spider-Man do his thing while the police are after him.
God, boring.
You. But that's
watch Batman.
Okay, fine. I'm gonna go do that anyways. You don't need to tell me to do that. But and I can understand why. I guess I can understand.
He's not the hero you deserve, Neil. Spider-Man's the hero that New York needs.
How could I be?
New York needs him to fight the lizard.
How could I be so stupid? But that's just my wishful thinking. Like, I would have loved to have seen a film about, you know, Spider-Man eluding the cops, doing, like, you know, trying to fight crime, like trying to do what he thinks is right, or at least just trying to find the guy who murdered Uncle Ben while the police are after him. Like, you almost don't even need the lizard in there. It's like, it's a nice addition, I guess, but, like, I don't know. That's the film I would like to see. But then again, I don't think anybody's going to really agree with me on that one, so...
I could see it being a movie, just not one that's as, I guess... What's the word I'm looking for?
Intriguing?
Yeah, like, I know a lot of people is like, oh, villain, yeah, this is going to be so cool, you know, I'm waiting for the big fight and, like, how awesome it's going to be. Which I will say, the final fight was pretty sweet.
It was pretty good,
With the liquid nitrogen and everything, that was pretty cool. But if it was just like, oh, well, that Spider-Man's out there again, well, we better go get him, get on the bicycles, and, you know, that being for the full movie, I don't think it would be as entertaining as having a big villain versus, you know, an up-and-coming hero.
The lizard also adds the whole component that he's got that connection to Peter's father, he's got the connection to Peter, he's got the connection to Gwen, and, you know, it makes it a bit more personal than, hey man, I'm just trying to protect New York, get your cops off my back. That's like kind of a lame conflict, Neil.
Neil, your mind's
You're all I hate you. No, I'm kidding. But that's just me. Like I said, I didn't expect anybody to agree with me, but like that was something that like I thought it would be played up a lot more. But then the conflict with the lizard takes place, and like it was good, but it didn't feel like fully developed. Like I didn't feel like
there could have been so much more.
It could have been. There could have been more. And once again, it feels like studio interference, and as well
Lizard
as
could have killed Uncle Ben.
No, shut up. No, shut your mouth. Shut your mouth. But it just feels like there are a lot of not fully formed ideas in the film. Like it brings up a lot of interesting ideas, like a lot of interesting prospects for the story to go, but they don't feel developed. It ultimately just comes down to, well, we didn't go here. We just kind of threw all of them in here. Hope you enjoy it.
Steven, if you made this movie, I would go see it.
Now I'm just imagining the lizard killing Uncle Ben, and I love it.
No, it's terrible.
I have a sick daughter! Makes it okay for me to break the law.
How many musical numbers would you put in?
No fewer than 8.
Okay, good, because I was going to be like, you know, if he puts...
It would be the U2 musical, like Broadway musical, like just on the big screen.
I would watch the crap out of that movie.
So basically, you just make a filmed a film adaptation of Spider-Man: Turn Off the Dark, right?
Pretty much.
Okay, cool. I'm glad that we could.
Much.
I'm glad that we could
With
come
Bono
to that.
as Spider-Man, because we all know how much he cares about the world already.
Okay.
He's liked and hated just enough to be Spider-Man and be believable.
Good enough. Good enough.
Oh my god.
Okay. So I think that about. So that's the most.
So great.
That's mostly the cons of the film. I think we
Spider-Man could have been funnier, too.
So anyways, those seem to be like the majority of the cons of the film, but we could talk about the pros of the film, actually. And there are several.
Only several.
There are several.
The writing is good.
The writing was good.
The directing was good.
The directing was
the
good.
The villain is good.